Leah laughed despite herself. She didn't like Edouard Perrault, even though her friend Alexandra adored him. She looked over at Madame Formentin, who was covering her grin with the palm of her hand. "Oui, Monsieur Formentin," she said, pulling her hand away from her mouth. "By all means, the students would love to see the porcelain." Eddie slipped up beside Leah and said, "That painting must be worth a fortune, eh?" Leah shrugged. "Not as much as a Manet." Eddie frowned. "You mean Monet?" "No, I mean Manet. Edouard Manet." Grinning, Leah went to stand next to Madame Formentin, who had again taken off her glasses to look more closely at the porcelain. A few of the students were leaning on the plexiglass case, and Monsieur Formentin asked them to step back. He took out a clean white cotton cloth from his jacket pocket and began wiping the case as he spoke. "These porcelain dessert plates are one of the pride and joys of of the museum. Madame Quentin-Savary used this service right up until her death in 1900. They were made at the porcelain factory in Sèvres, just south of the capital." Leah nodded. She had been to that museum with Marine Bonnet and her mother. She looked down at the dozen or so plates, each one with a hand-painted fruit in its center. Wild strawberries, fat purple plums, walnuts in their fuzzy green shells, and almost translucent purple grapes. Some of the other students were pointing and muttering names of fruits, and it quickly became a competition to see who could identify each fruit the fastest. Monsieur Formentin stepped back a tiny bit, his arms folded across his chest, and a satisfied grin on his flushed face. He reminded her of a television character from a show her parents watched, a short, fastidious Belgian who walked with tiny footsteps, like a penguin. "Et maintenant," Monsieur Formentin announced with a dramatic flourish of his right hand, "les bustes des personnages illustres d'Aix, notre chère ville." He pointed toward the far corner of the room and began walking there as the students slowly followed. Leah couldn't see that far, as she was stuck at the back of the group. Was it a bust of Cézanne? She hoped so. Or Zola? Leah was proud that she had gotten into the music program at Mignet, a school that boasted such illustrious alumni as the famous painter and his best friend the writer, although in their day Mignet had been a high school. Her parents, too, were over the moon when she was admitted after an agonizing choral audition. Leah looked to her left, and there was Alexandra, looking down at the dessert plates. Leah lifted up her cell phone and quickly took a photo. Leah looked at Alexandra and whispered, "Isn't this a cool museum?" "Totally," Alexandra replied. Leah giggled and gave her a thumbs up. Alexandra smiled, happy to have a friend at last, even if Leah was the other geek in the class. Leopoldine looked young for her age, but her intelligence and musical talents set her apart. "Leah's on a different planet," one of their fellow students once remarked. But if Leopoldine was on a different planet, that only made her even more interesting. She was smart and didn't hide it, and Alexandra admired that. Plus, Leah's father was a police commissioner, which was just about the coolest job on the planet. "Et voilà!" Monsieur Formentin said, barely containing his excitement about the first bust. Leah's face fell in disappointment. It was neither Cézanne nor Zola, both of which she could have picked out. Alexandra raised her arm in the air. "And who is it, Alexandra?" Madame Formentin asked. "Mirabeau," Alexandra answered, almost breathless with excitement. Leah smiled and looked at the bust. The man's fat head, his pockmarked skin. He was wearing one of those big wigs with rolls of sausage curls and a fancy frilly shirt under a vest with 3 big buttons. But despite the bad skin and stupid wig, he looked scary.